tell you what, it's a strange feeling doing this again after so long. I've already pressed start and stop on the record button a few times. That's the perfectionist in me. The imperfect individual is a perfectionist. So I'm Dave, as many of you know, the imperfect individual. And this is my first video that I will have posted for nearly 2 years. October 2023 was the last video I did. And what a diabolical time it's been since then. I'm sure I'll tell you more of that, more about that. It's why have I decided to come back? It's strange, really. It feels, I would say that I've still got a lot that I need to say, and a lot that I think that I can say that will help, that can provide clarity, that people can relate to. And certainly in the last few months, but definitely in the last few weeks, it's really been nagging away at me. This internal battle I've been having with myself. Shall I go back onto YouTube? Shall I not go back onto YouTube? I think I've always known deep down that I would come back onto the platform and start making videos again. But for anybody else out there who's done anything similar to this, you can convince yourself in a million different ways why you shouldn't do something significant, because this is a significant thing, and it's not without fear. And you know, there's I can very easily talk myself out of making videos. I believe it's called imposter syndrome. I'll probably make a video on that, because there were always times when I, regularly when I was making videos from 2020 to 2023, that I would sometimes ask myself, well, why are you doing this? Who do you think you are, Dave? Why are you some authority on these topics? And I don't see myself as that. I just think I've got something to say. And I hope I've got useful things to say. So now, just from the outset, just a couple of things. So obviously I'm back. I hope I'll enjoy it, and more to the point, I hope that you'll enjoy what I've got to say. I'm going to change the angle slightly on the themes of the channel. The context is still going to be, the wider angle is still going to revolve around the sick society that we inhabit in the Western world. That's still going to be the context. Why is society so, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and physically sick? Because it is. But I'm going to focus more on some different themes that I did regularly touch on during my first spell as a YouTube content creator. So I'll just tell you what they're going to be. And I will also tell you as well, just on this first video, some very quick thoughts just about where I think the world is at from my point of view. So the themes that I'm going to talk about are God, /faith, /Christianity, health and pain, and growing through pain, healing through pain. Now that can be physical pain, it can be emotional pain, it can be spiritual pain. I know all three of those types of pain right now, which I'll tell you more about, I'm sure. And the reason I'm choosing these topics, by the way, is because not only are they close to my heart and I feel I've got something to say on these subjects, but I know there's going to be people out there who will relate, particularly on that one, the subject around health and pain, and what can we learn from it, and how can we grow, and how can it humble us. So that encompasses quite a lot just in and of itself. The next topic is around community, and that involves heritage, traditions and customs. So obviously, me being based in England, I will focus mostly on the things that I love about England and Englishness, but there's also a lot of overlap with regard to general Western customs and traditions and heritage that we share in many of our, particularly the English-speaking countries in the Western world. But there's differences as well. You know, there's some stark differences. So that will be, and the reason I picked that topic is because I believe community is very important. It's integral to human societies, communities in the Western world, as I'm sure many of you will agree, are under threat. And, you know, those ancient traditions, that ancestral knowledge, those lovely customs that are under attack, they need to be fought for. The next one is connection. I see such disconnect. I think it's a disconnect. It's a highly disconnected world. I think that we're disconnected from our own souls. We're disconnected from each other. We're disconnected from nature. When I say we, I'm talking in a general societal context there, because I know that many of you who will be watching this don't fall into that category, but I know that you will also appreciate me focusing a lot of the content around why connection, authenticity, genuine conversation, dialogue, you know, with family and friends, etc., is so important, and how that relates to truth, really. And then the last one, I mean, there's going to be more to this. These are just the core themes that I'm aiming for. Is nature, as many of you will know from the first round of videos. Many of them you might be able to hear Diamond the dog barking there. So one thing you won't get with my videos is high production values. I very very proud of having very low production values. So you'll hear dogs barking and noises in the background, but that's just the way it is. So is nature, you will know from my first round of videos that many of them I'd be walking through the beautiful countryside that surrounds my home. I do videos on the topic of nature. I'm a big passionate. It's a big passion of mine, the natural world. You know, I love animals and nature. So yes, okay. So the other thing I will say is, in terms of, I won't be having any schedule or anything like that for these videos, because the last thing I need to do is put pressure on myself. I think this could be quite cathartic for me and useful for me, and will help me to crystallise where my thought processes are at the moment. So the last thing I need to do is put pressure on myself. So I will release a video. When I release a video, you know, you might get 3 in 3 days and then none for 2 weeks. I don't know. So there won't be a schedule or anything like that. If I've got something to say, I'll create a video. If I don't have anything to say, I won't. And just on the channel as well and the audience, it was with a heavy heart that I stopped my videos back in October 2023. I just had too much going on in my life. I was exhausted. I had some major surgery that was upcoming, which I've had, and I'm still not fully healed from that, unfortunately. So I'll talk more about that side of things, I'm sure. But the reason that I liked this YouTube channel was because of the people who watched it. So you watching this, I felt there was a space for someone who wasn't a truther. I don't like truthers. I don't like the truther movement. I like to talk about what I see and hear and my own experience in my life. And that's how I read the world, rather than paying too much attention to the crazy political scene, to the global tyranny that still presides over us. Now, that's not to say I don't keep abreast of these things, because of course I do. And as I say, that provides the background to the things that I want to talk about. So I attracted, even though I was heavily censored on this platform for saying some things that were just unacceptable to say in relation to, particularly in relation to COVID. I can't stand that word. I still managed to, it was a small channel, it is a small channel, but the people who watched and engaged were exactly the kind of people that I envisaged. So thanks very much to anybody who has contributed so far. It was rare that I got any organic growth on any of my videos. Again, I think that's because it was heavily censored. But on the last video we did, where I said goodbye, I think I got about 50 subscribers off that, and I think quite a lot of them came from America as well. So if that's you, this will be only the second video that you've seen me do, unless you've gone through the back catalogue and watched any. So if you did, if my last video in October 2023 did appear in your feed and you subscribed, then let me know in the comments. To anybody else, a regular viewer, say hello, tell me how you're doing, and I can give you some quick thoughts on the general picture, which is really what would I say? I'm going to keep it very simple, really, but this is just my own personal view. So the political zeitgeist in the West has changed. It certainly has in America, the election of Trump, and it has in this country as well. Now, I don't take much interest in politics. I don't believe politics is a major solution to our ills. I happen to think that the political party and the government that we've got in the UK at the moment is the absolute worst of the worst. But I can tell from speaking to people that, you know, if you want to call it like the extreme left wing kind of Marxist narrative is no longer relevant, really. The people have had enough of the woke agenda. They see it for what it is. There's a lot of discontent and frustration and anger. And, you know, what will happen in the next election in this country, whenever it's held, is that Reform will win that election. And that will be a reflection of that political zeitgeist changing. But it's only a tiny step towards a solution, really, because something that I believe that's still, again, my own personal view, still not enough people understand this, is that no figurehead or political party, politician, or cultural icon is gonna save the day. I think there's still too many people under that misapprehension. That's not going to happen. So awareness is there. There's certainly a lot of people aware that they get lied to by their mainstream media and governments way more now than there was even 2 years ago, certainly way more than in 2020 and at any time in history, really, I would say. That's good. The question then is, what do we do about it? And I've always passionately argued that the solution doesn't come down to politicians and political party. It doesn't come down to group action and protest either. It comes down to the individual. Protest has a role to play, and I was very pleased to see the large-scale protest in London went off without any trouble. It was largely very peaceful, and there was a hell of a lot of people there. So again, that to me symbolises and represents a growing awareness about what's going on. But it's not what happens at a date and time, you know, and place where you're told to gather. It's what you do in your own life each day, really, to make a difference to this. And that's why I passionately believe in create something. I've said for a long time, create, don't regurgitate. Create something, create a YouTube video, write a book, create some art, make something, have a podcast. comment on somebody's videos. Don't just share stuff blindly and mindlessly. And there's still way too much of that. I mean, I have nothing to do with any, truth movements. I don't. And that's something else I'll touch on is truth and freedom, actually. From my own point of view about what is truth and what is freedom. And it's interesting, actually, that, well, yeah, we'll talk about that in another video. So certainly a growing awareness, massive discontent. There's a lot of people who are financially struggling. There's a simmering anger. So you've got all that, but not enough courage. People might be courageous enough to go to a protest with hundreds of thousands of other people, but that's not, for me, it's not enough. That's not enough. For me, doing this takes a lot more bravery than going to a protest when you've got the cover of a lot of other people there. So again, this is my own personal view. The truth movement don't have anything to do with it. Gets on my nerves. Again, not for me. And the other thing I would say is that there are still a lot of people who, I think you can divide certainly this country into two. It's a very complex, kind of nebulous topic, this, and who, at the end of the day, who knows? Who can put percentages on? Who's aware to what's going on and who's not? I don't know. I would say the majority, a large majority, are aware that they're being lied to some degree. But you've got a lot of people still who they're still stuck in the hypnosis of what's gone before, these meta-narratives, these huge-scale global lies. And some of them are so big, so monstrous. I don't need to tell you what I'm talking about here. That to kind of admit to that, it would be earth-shattering for them. And they're never going to do it. Now, our problem is a lot of those people work, I call it as part of the government apparatus, they work for the state. So it doesn't matter if you've got 10 million people banging their fists, this is what's going on, you've got to change, come on, stop it. As long as you've got people still doing the bidding of these corrupt, evil governments, then we're in a way where we're at their behest, really, aren't we? Which is why it's all the more important for me to do something that you can to tell the world the truth as you see it, not as somebody else sees it. Sharing a post and saying, look at this, that's nothing, that, really. I suppose there's a paradox there, because then I'll say to you, share this video, but isn't life all about paradoxes? But I hope you understand the point that I'm trying to make on that. Let me know if you agree or disagree. And I think for a lot of people as well, they've got certainly in the UK, there's an outlet now for all this anger, and that outlet, that it's all being focused through the lens of mass immigration or illegal immigration. And rightly so, it's a massive issue, and what's going on in this country is absolutely terrifying. It's absolutely horrific what is being done, what's being allowed to happen. I think when it comes to the COVID years and some of the behaviour and the way beliefs were manufactured and how that all played out and the suffering that was caused, I think for too many it's too much to consciously deal with, and they've kind of buried it deep in the subconscious, never to be talked about again. And there's a quite convenient avenue for them to go down instead, to release all of that energy, which is the illegal immigration. So again, just touching on a few little ideas here, how I see things. There's not been a significant mass awakening in terms of from from a spiritual point of view, if you want to use that word. There's not been if ever there was a time that a society that was collapsing and destroying itself got a wake-up call to do things differently, it was from the year 2020 onwards, and sadly it's not happened. It's not happened in a large-scale manner anyway. But as you go on to do more of these videos, you'll see that there are lots of green shoots and points of optimism, because within that there are lots of little movements, and I see evidence of things changing. But in terms of kind of like the mainstream, no, it's not, which is quite sad, I think, really. What else? Well, I think we'll leave it there for the time being. Diamond barking again there, you can probably hear him. I think I'll leave it there. That's 20 minutes and nearly 21 minutes. So say hello in the comments. It's good to be back, I think. I will do another video soon, possibly tomorrow, but maybe not till next week. I don't know. And I hope you're all okay and, surviving this absolute crazed era in which we currently inhabit. So I will speak to you all soon. Okay, thanks, bye-bye.